This is Keith with Synthrotek. We're here today testing germanium transistors for our Fuzz Face clone. We're testing for leakage, current, and gain in terms, and we want to match these transistors to make sure that they've got similar characteristics so that you've got a really good sounding Fuzz Face clone. So this is our testing platform here. It's extremely high tech. We've got our power supply coming in. We're testing at 9.17 volts, or really close to 9. Then you take your transistor, and we've got it labeled here with the base, collector, and emitter proper points. And what we're doing is we're testing both leakage current and then the actual current when you're trying to do basically a maximum draw off the transistor. Those two different currents you're then comparing to find the gain, and you're looking for essentially a low leakage current and a reasonable gain, reasonable being about 70 to 90. And so what we do then is we test the transistor for just leakage current. That we take out the 2.2 meg ohm resistor. We just take a voltage reading.
Yeah, what kind of resistors do you have, and what leads are they going to? Okay,
well, we've got this 2.4K. He's going from base to ground. And then we've got a 2.2 meg that's going to go from the collector to ground when we're looking to load or activate the transistor and then compare for gain. So initially you're looking for leakage current. And leakage current, you're just doing the 2.4K from base to ground. You've got your 9 volt coming in on the emitter side, and you're just looking to see if it's drawing any current when it's not activated. And this one, currently we've got 320 millivolts, and then what we do with that number is we put it into our nice little spreadsheet here. And so we put in our voltage, and our little spreadsheet is set up to then take that number and divide it by the two resistor values that we have, which we've measured previously, and it's going to then calculate that voltage into a current reading for us. And we're looking at 133 microamps, which is actually very good for a germanium transistor. Then we'll take the 2.2 meg resistor, connect it to ground. Now we've actually turned the transistor on, and we should be seeing a number approximately double what the previous one was. In this case, we're looking at 0.66 volts, and so we get, then we got 275 microamps when that thing is actually activated. So while this transistor is really good in terms of leakage, his gain is not the greatest in the world. And you're basically on these transistors, you're looking for something that's got low leakage and a good gain.
So this is what, 66, not quite into the 70 range, is that correct?
Yeah, not quite into the 70 range.
Okay. Now, as far as you know, for our purposes, we do want to try to match them, make them as best as possible. With this type of germanium transistor, they're kind of mid-level. You can go higher, you can go lower as far as quality-wise. And as far as when you are checking them, you kind of just put them together, because we buy a mess of them and we do it. Buying them together, you know, if it's getting towards 70, is that still pretty usable?
Well, the nice thing about that is we've got that trim pot in our Fuzz Face clone, and that trim pot is meant to kind of offset that difference. That's one of the reasons that trim pot is in there, is to offset any difference between the transistors and kind of help boost the fact that the germanium transistors are so erratic in their readings.
Now, what are some of the dangers in testing germanium transistors?
Well, the germanium transistors are very susceptible to heat. So one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to be touching the transistor like this while you're testing it. You also don't want to be blowing on it, you know, breathing on it real heavy or anything like that. And you pretty much want to test all your transistors in the same environment and be very consistent about it. Don't be holding them while you're testing them and not hold another one, because then you will get readings for one that's when it's warm and the other one for when it's cold. So you really want consistency when you're testing these.
Okay, and what were the values again of the resistors they should buy, and quickly just how should they set it up again? I'm going to go a little higher and kind of just do a bird's eye view here of the breadboard. Okay. So it makes it pretty easy. So all they really need is a multimeter, right? They don't need to get it. We bought a transistor tester, but we don't need that for this.
You don't need a transistor tester for this, and you want You're going to get 1% resistors because your values you're really concerned with, or you want to be really accurate with, and you're looking at a 2.4K for the base resistor, and then for the collector you're looking at 2.2 megs. And the nice thing about this is if you actually put it into a spreadsheet and you've recorded the values for the resistors, if they're a little bit off, it won't matter as much as long as you know exactly what your voltage and your resistors reading were, because then you can actually calculate the current. You're not just guessing and looking for magic numbers on the multimeter.
Okay, then the process goes as such. So you have right now you're checking one of the resistors.
Right. You're always measuring the same resistor.
Okay, excuse me.
You're always measuring the base value.
Okay.
But you're going to see a drastic change as to when it's activated and not, and that's what you're looking at.
Okay, that's why we have the other resistor there, so,
Yes.
so it can be activated.
Right.
Now, as far as on your multimeter, you're gonna the first thing you're gonna do is check for leakage.
Yes.
And you're gonna put it over to volts.
Yes, everything's on volts DC, and leakage is just with that base resistor in there, and the
And you
collector.
pull the other one out,
Yeah.
pull the collector out.
Yeah, you could also do this with a switch. You could leave it connected and have a switch that was toggled back and forth. And
If you want to like build your own PC
Yeah.
board or something like that.
right,
to do this.
exactly. But I've just been pulling the lead. And
Okay.
then when you want to go ahead and activate it, you just connect that collector, and it.
And that's where your positive is.
Yeah.
Or is it ground, or is that where positive
That's
is?
ground.
Okay, ground. Ground is what activates it. Because these are, yes, okay. That's the way the pedal is. At least it's powered by negative, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and so you check it for that, and then you activate it, and then check it for volts again, and your difference there is usually about half.
Yeah, your difference is
Okay, and your first number is your leakage.
yes.
Second number is.
You're going to take that second number and divide it by your first number to find gain.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Keith. Thanks for helping us out with understanding germanium transistors and how they're tested.
All right, no problem.